What's going on, people? What's going on? It's about that time, baby, baby. Oh, yeah. Here we go. Here we go.
The Sinclair Show is on.
It is on.
Run it to your friends. Come on.
Come on. Come on.
It's a moment of the show tonight. Mailbag is tight. Sinclair is on the mic.
Once again, it's on. You're still troubled in your home. Got you tripping, don't know right from wrong. Send your letters to the show so we can talk you through. Get the answers to your questions because we speak that truth. Sometimes you doubt yourself, lost your health. Faith is on the fence, but you believe that Jesus knows the well. Keep it moving, spirit flowing, because we're here to provide someone to lean on when you're following Wednesday 8 and 9 and it's on. Once again, it's on. You're listening to the only morning show at night, people. It's the Sinclair Show coming to you live and direct. That's right. The Sinclair Show is a place where you can talk about what you want to talk about with the people that you want to talk to, where we can deep dive about the issues that are important to you. And that's why I'm always glad to be here for you. You know what? Y'all, the value listeners. Y'all know what that means? That means it would be no reason for there to be a Sinclair Show if it wasn't for you all, because you all make this possible. And so I appreciate y'all, and that's how we get down. Absolutely. So let me see what's going on out here tonight. First of all, let me see who's out here already. Oh, man, the first person out the gate was who other than Gwendolyn Lady Elegance Pritchett from Rocket City, Alabama. Uh-oh, Jay Dizzle, what's going on? You know, I was in deep contrition thinking about some of the crazy stuff y'all want to talk about on this show tonight, but that's all right. Uh-oh, there go my mama. Hey, mama. Steph Tillman, glad to see you. James Keep, what's going on? And people, as folks come on, uh-oh, who else? This looks like Detective Pamela Black is joining us tonight. Outstanding. Look here, people. Man, there's so much stuff going on. Let me give y'all a debrief. Let me see. Okay, so I hope that all of you all went out there and voted, cast your vote. Any more, what's going on? Glad to see you as always. So if you didn't cast your vote, I certainly don't want to hear you out here crying and complaining about the fact if you don't like the way that certain things went. All right. It appears to me that there was some shakeups. I believe that, and once again, y'all know I'm an independent, so I get to speak freely because I don't be caring how neither side feels. But I believe that those people who are running around in top level form, in support of, let me see what's going on. Talia Matthews, glad to see you. They were in top level form supporting Donald J. Trump. Seemed like y'all lost a little bit of your luster. As I recall yesterday, early, let's say 2 days ago, the feeling was there was going to be what they called in the political community the red wave, meaning that, and it happens, now let me be clear, this happens all the time when you have a particular party in power. Normally during the middle of their term, the midterm elections is normally not a favorable thing, generally with significant losses. It happens to both Republicans and Democrats alike. And so this year, especially, people believe that because the economy was not the greatest, the Fed had been raising up the stakes in the game, and that there had been overall not the greatest message. And let me tell y'all why I say message. Because I don't know who the entities are that are in charge of putting out information to the public about the successes and or failures of our politicians in Congress and at the White House, but they do a absolutely terrible job at it. Okay. Big Rob, what's going on? And I say that because of this. While the economy clearly is not what we would like it to be, there have been quite a few successes on the Democrats' behalf. Just like when the Republican Party was in, there were quite a few successes on their part. But they spend so much time fighting and talking about the foolishness that doesn't matter that by the time the elections come up, you're backpedaling and trying to ward off some accusations and foolishness. But anyway, I digress. The bottom line is that it does not appear, based on the numbers that are in, that there was this massive wave of rejection by the American people, those of you who actually voted, to turn against the Democratic Party. Now, in my opinion, based on what I've seen so far, and it has not fully been decided yet, but I believe that the Republican Party will probably gain control over the House, and it will still remain either dead even, or one party or the other may have a one vote cast in the Senate. So essentially, we're almost at a stalemate, with the exception of in the House, whoever becomes the majority party has the power to run these things where we've been seeing all these, how can I say this? When we've been seeing all these cases brought up and investigations, trust me, you're getting ready to see the same thing from the Republicans. Now they're getting ready to go after Joe Biden, his family, and anybody else they can, because this is the smoke and mirrors that we've created as a society from both sides. It's not a one-side thing, all right? So just prepare yourself. But for those, now there is one particular election, and I try not to do this, but in this particular case, and matter of fact, James done beat me to it. In this particular case, I generally try to stay away from trying to influence an outcome. But let me just say this. I got to ask my homies down in Georgia. I used to live in Georgia for years. So I got to ask my homies down in Georgia, how in the Sam Blazing Hills do y'all need to have a runoff between Raphael Warnock and Herschel Walker? I don't care if you had Mickey Mouse against Herschel Walker. I don't care if you had Tiny Tim. I don't care if you had the Grinch that stole Christmas going against Herschel Walker. How did that many people in Georgia cast a ballot for Herschel Walker, who, it is my opinion, and this is my opinion only, is got to be the one? He is more incompetent than Donald Trump ever was. He is about as dumb. Cassandra, keep what's going on, Legal Beagle. So I just want to ask y'all in Georgia, how did this happen? How is there possible that there is a need for a runoff between any candidate not named Goofy running against Herschel Walker, when in the last 3 or 4 months, we didn't heard women come forward and say that he was paying them to allegedly have abortions, and he admitted to certain things. Listen, even if none of that was true, if y'all listen to Herschel Walker talk about anything, y'all know that man shouldn't be explaining paper or plastic at the grocery store. And I'm not even knocking my hardworking men and women who bag groceries at the grocery store, because they are much, much brighter than Herschel Walker. And so I'm trying to figure out, what the world y'all doing down there in Georgia? Let me see what Gwendolyn Lady Elegance Pritchard said. The Libertarian was a spoiler. Warnock probably would have won. You know what, Lady Elegance, it shouldn't even have been that close. I don't care who, if you had a fifth candidate in there, it just should not be that close. I am very, very disappointed that for me to go on the news and see that Herschel Walker and Ralph Warnock got to have a runoff. It's like saying me and my dog Cheech, we got to have a runoff because y'all didn't know which one of us was smarter. It's a slap in the face. I'm just saying. Cassandra said, now she down, the Legal Beagle is somewhere located in Georgia, so she's speaking on behalf of her home team. She says, because Georgia's a red state and Republican, in my opinion, are more united regardless of the candidate. Absolutely. You know what? That's a valid point. And let this be a lesson to you all. Regardless of what your party is, I dare to say that, hold on for a second. Big Rod said, you're not alone in what you're saying. When you have blacks that don't come out and some voted for him just because he played football. All right, I'm rocking with that. Kiki Matthews, glad to see you. Here's the struggle that I have, people. We keep seeing example after example that the American public is fickle to the standpoint of the Negro community specifically. And look at with the cancel culture going on, I got to be very, very cognizant of how I phrase this. But the Negro community specifically, we create catchphrases, if you will, for my Caucasian comrades, for my Caucasian brothers and sisters, my Anglo-Saxon homies. I want you to understand that April Brown, glad to see you. We create in the Negro community fashion statements and cute sayings that reverberate throughout the world. But we really ain't about that business. Let me tell you a cute little saying that folks in the Negro community like. They like to say, we ride or die. Now, let's be clear. Most of y'all ain't about that life. But we're not really ride or die professionally. We not ride or die personally. Let's just be honest about it. All right, the Legal Beagle said Walker is just there until they can get the next replacement. Get your foot in the door. He'll be out sooner rather than later if he's elected. I don't know how on a runoff, Cassandra, let me tell you this. If you all in Georgia allow him to win the runoff, which I guess Gwendolyn Lady Elegance Pritchard said it was because a libertarian was in there. Ain't gonna be no libertarian win the runoff. So if y'all let him win in the runoff, then y'all deserve what you get. But back to these cliches that y'all be saying. Ride or die. Negroes got the cute sayings, but they ain't really about that because we don't support each other with nothing. So somebody said, Republicans are ride or die. Okay? Republicans are ride or die. Would y'all agree? Somebody just said, I believe it may have been Cassandra just said, hey, look, Republicans voting Republican on their ticket. They don't care what you say. They don't care if you got Donald Trump, if you got one of the Three Musketeers, if you got Minnie Mouse, Mickey Mouse, if you got a bear out in the woods. Got to give my shout out to the bears in the woods. But Republicans is rocking with Republicans to the end. Even in other cultures, if you go into an Asian community anywhere in the United States, they do business with each other. They spend their money in their own community. They rocks together. They ride or die together. If you go into the Latin community, you will see that they rock with each other. They shop in Hispanic stores. They spend their money amongst each other. And that they might have some differences of opinion, but they rocking Latin, okay? Hispanic, if you will. You go into the Caucasian Anglo-Saxon communities. And oh me, oh my, there are still levels in there, but they're going to run together. They're going to stick together. They ride or die with each other. That's how they get down. All right. Zion said Democrats are fickle instead of being united. Absolutely. Big Rod said no matter what Taylor Greene has with crazy behind, her community voted her back in. Absolutely. And so I want you all to understand when I say this in the Negro community, I'm not saying that you should put your mental prowess in your pocket when it comes to issues. But do you not find it strange that we can have qualified candidates that can't make it over the hurdle? And since we're talking about Georgia, let me just say this. I've not seen a woman as focused and driven as Stacey Abrams. Stacey Abrams single-handedly turned Georgia in favor of Joe Biden. She was instrumental in the movement in so many different ways, and y'all couldn't even get her in. That's the piece I'm talking about. And this show ain't even gonna be on politics, but I gotta ask the question: what goes through the minds of the Negro community when you have people that put it all on the line, and every time somebody puts it on the line, we either fall back and are not supportive, or we jump ship and go to the other side of the tracks? Now, if you just didn't vote for somebody because their ideology is not with yours, okay. We've already established that in the Republican Party, they ain't rocking with that. They don't care what you think. You can be as crazy as you want to be. We still rocking with you. But I wonder, how often do many of you sit back in the Negro community and think to yourselves, when we gonna ever get it right? I mean, I've seen bad candidates. Somebody brought up, I think her name is Marjorie Taylor Greene. She is as crazy as they come. If she's not crazy, then one might need to check if she's on any medication, or she says the craziest stuff. She is allegedly accused of being not only in support of the insurrection from January the 6th, but it is alleged, and we'll find out in the future, that there are emails and text messages and phone calls that indicate she was right there in the thick of it. Y'all don't care. And she can get enough support to get back in, but you mean to tell me that Ralph Warnock, who's done everything that, as I researched him, he did everything he was expected to do based on the way he got in there. As a Stacey Abrams, who's been, again, putting it all out there on the line. She's been called every name. Y'all done let them talk about the way she looks and everything else, but she stood out there in the rain and in the trenches, and y'all couldn't even vote her in. I see why some Negroes with political aspirations jump ship and go Republican, because they feel like, if I ever want to get in, if my professional goal is to be in politics, there is absolutely limited avenues for me to get there going Democratic, because no matter how honest I am, no matter how I want to pick up the flag and march, no matter how I want to be for my people, I'm not going to ever get enough votes, no matter if I'm the best candidate or not. So that's maybe why some of them jump ship. Saying, y'all be just saying, you know, y'all won. What is April talking about? She said, unfortunately, blacks don't turn out to vote like they should when they don't deem the election important, i.e. presidential. But I don't think, you know what, April, I don't think that was the case this time, because it seems to be that there was significant turnout. James said that did Beasley the same way. Oh, my goodness. Oh, matter of fact, y'all, just rock with me for a minute. North Carolina, we got a candidate named Beasley, right? And it appeared that she was certainly probably the best candidate. Man, they turned on chick so bad, man, she wound up not getting in. But let me tell you about this other candidate. James, do you remember the name of the lady? She won. She was accused of beating up her first and second husband, slapping her child or something, or she was accused by a child of beating her up. Can somebody look up in North Carolina politics? They've been running those commercials about this lady through the whole election cycle. But there was a lady elected in North Carolina whom allegedly, according to campaign fodder that was on the TV. Sandy Smith. If y'all look up, if all y'all out there later on, not during the show, because I don't want y'all to go away, y'all might not come back. I want y'all to look up Sandy Smith. Sandy Smith is accused of being violent and aggressive by her first husband, her second husband, and her daughter, son, child, one of them. And they still voted her in. So if you can beat up everybody you know and still get voted in, what does that tell y'all? That this politic game requires a special breed of people who are willing to say, we can't keep taking the risk. We've got to go out. We've got to recognize that this is not about sensitivity training. All right. I'm just saying it's some wild stuff going on. But look here. We got to get into some of these topics that came up. Let me see. What shall I talk about? All right, I'm gonna start with this one right here. All right. So somebody wrote me a letter, and the letter was talking about the person that wrote me the letter wrote the letter because they are an officer who had been, unfortunately, got caught out one night drinking and driving. Another officer from, I think it might have been what you call them jokers? State trooper pulled him over, found him to be intoxicated, gave him a DUI, and he got fired when he was arrested for the DUI. All right, cool. But this individual writes me a letter because he feels some kind of way because there was an article recently of an officer in North Carolina who was arrested for a DUI and allowed to resign. And by allowing this particular officer to resign, that means that he was never fired for the DUI. So if his attorney somehow gets that charge reduced from a DUI to something more aligned with a misdemeanor, then this officer can reapply either at that station house and or any other because he's never been terminated. And so the officer that wrote me this letter, and while he put his name, I'm not going to divulge his name because I realize that sometimes when you are upset, you are carefree about what you say, and sometimes you just don't need your energy out there like that. But nevertheless, I did some research today, and we're gonna call him Officer X. Officer X, let me tell you what I did realize. Now, all of you all probably know where this is going. The person that wrote me the letter happens to be of minority descent, if you will. And the person who was on the news article that was sent to me happened to be one of my Caucasian comrades. And so the question was posed as if to say, do black officers who find themselves running afoul of the law get an opportunity to resign at the same rate that Anglo-Saxons do? Now, let me tell you something. When I began to do some due diligence, I actually was surprised. I don't think it is a race issue as much as I do believe that it's the good old boy system. And let me tell you why I say that. From what I was able to gather, the smaller the area, the smaller the police precinct, the smaller the area, the more likely that the officer who was on and while I'm not minimizing it, let's say was on a infraction such as a DUI or whatever, was likely, male or female, was likely to be given the benefit of the doubt. The larger the area, the more major a city, the more visible, then the officer, regardless of color, was least likely to get that benefit of the doubt, and or it was not publicized. So let me say that I can only talk about the information that I had access to that is out there on the free public. And it appears that more relevant was where you were at versus the color of your skin. Now, I will say this. There are a lot of officers who are charged with something and magically those charges either go away or they get reduced. And it happens. I don't know if it's more in line with them seeking to protect the integrity or the optics, not integrity, optics of the police department. Because obviously DUI convictions, any type of convictions is a black eye on the station, whatever. So I think when there are things that are non-impactful to other people, meaning if you had somebody that got a DUI and there was nothing else, nobody else involved, he just got stopped because they were swerving, it is likely that they're going to get the benefit of the doubt on that particular situation. So to Officer X, I'm saying this in all candor. I couldn't find enough information to say that the officer that got the benefit of the doubt that you sent that news article, that he got the benefit of the doubt because he was white. I believe that the benefit of the doubt came because of the area that he found himself being an officer in. That's just my opinion. And again, I'm not minimizing the emotions that you have about it. And I can't say 100% that it doesn't have any impact, but it's just those that appear on the internet. I saw a significant amount of white people, males, females, getting in trouble and being arrested and fired. I did see some that were that they used the phrase resign, but it's just it's too small of a sample size for me to go out and say that it is just because of race at certain communities. Again, I do not want to minimize your thinking and feelings with real. However, I could not draw that same conclusion based on what I've been able to find so far. If you have located some additional information and you send it to the show, I promise you I'll do my due diligence and we'll get deeper into it, if you will. All right? Is that fair, people? Hopefully. Legal Beagle, did I tread that one? All right. I'm just saying. Y'all got to understand something. There'll be some gray areas out here. All right. Let's go to the next thing. And this right, it's something y'all ought to be able to get a laugh about. Let me see if I can make it pop up. Let's see. All right. So a woman called the police on a barbecue restaurant because the meat was pink. Come on now. This is a true story. I'm going to tell y'all where to find it. If you go to todaynews.com, you could go probably anywhere. And once again, y'all know I'm from North Carolina. That's why I resided. I rocks with the Carolina, born and bred. That's how we get down, right? So, you know, it does touch me a little bit when we start talking about Carolina and foolery. But if you go to Google and type this in, woman calls 911 to report pink meat in North Carolina barbecue restaurant. Said a customer at Clyde Cooper's barbecue in Raleigh, North Carolina, had beef with the way the smoked meat looked. It says a dispute at a barbecue restaurant caused the beef that resulted in the customer calling 911 over a pink meat. Now, I ain't even going to ask y'all, what do you think? I ain't even going to guess that, because that would be, I ain't even going to guess. Let's keep going. Said a restaurant owner responded by telling her the meat turned pink when they smoke it. So that's exactly what it should look like. The barbecue brouhaha occurred at Clyde Cooper's barbecue in Raleigh, North Carolina last weekend when a customer named Annie, man, them Annies be serious about it. Annie Cook became upset that the meat in her barbecue order was pink. Clyde Cooper's owner, Debbie Holt, told Today Food that's cooked returned about 10 minutes after picking her order up and said it wasn't done. And this is Debbie Holt's thing. She said, I said, oh, honey, that is the pink from the smoke. Holt explained. I said, honey, it's done. She couldn't even comprehend it. Holt says, think about this, people. You don't went out here and called the police and told the police that you found some pink barbecue meat and you so mad that you called the police. You called the police. Cook told a local news station, WRAL, that she was not served anything else or given a refund, which Holt disputed, saying she has Cook on camera taking the chicken. So when she didn't like the meat, she offered her some chicken instead. And she got her own camera taking it. So then what did she do is, following the clash over the pink meat, Cook then called 911 after leaving the restaurant because she believed Holt was being dismissive of her concerns. That's just the way I felt. That's the reason I called the cops, because I couldn't get my money back and I couldn't get a different plate, Cook told WRAL. A transcript of the call was obtained by WRAL. It said, I ordered some food from here and the barbecue is pink. A woman can be heard telling 911. I asked for either for them to cook it some more or exchange my order. They're saying that the meat is supposed to be pink. I asked them to change my order. They said they're not giving me my money back or they're not going to trade out my food. The police arrived but soon left without any issue. Let me ask you all this question. You mean to tell me y'all got law enforcement going out to restaurants because you say your meat ain't cooked right? First of all, if you don't know what you eating, then you shouldn't be there ordering that item. James said, pink. Yeah, James, look, if you go out on the internet, you can see what they're talking about. I've cooked beef, pork, everything. I'm a cooking connoisseur. What they're talking about is when you smoke something properly, you will have a brownish to mahogany color on top. And then there is what they call a smoke ring that can be anywhere from burgundy to a pinkish look. And then you have your meat. I saw the meat. Matter of fact, I've never been there before, but I tell you, I'm not opposed to going by old Clyde Cooper's barbecue in Raleigh, because I rest assured that the meat is good. And me being a cooking connoisseur, trust me when I tell you it was on point. But she called the police. Now, in my opinion, I'm trying to understand why in the world. Oh, it was beef, I believe, that she was looking at. But I'm trying to understand for the life of me, how is it that some people can play with law enforcement like that and don't nothing happen to them? See, some of y'all are flat out crazy. Now, I'm assuming, because I don't recall whether or not they I don't recall whether or not they showed the image of the lady, right? And so I don't want to, I'm trying to pull it up as I'm talking to y'all. I believe, while I am not certain, I believe that the woman was one of our Anglo-Saxon sisters. Big Rod said, I've had to explain the smoke ring to someone that wasn't used to meat that has been cooked that way. Absolutely, Big Rod. But Big Rod, have you ever had somebody call the police on you? I believe that she happened to be an Anglo-Saxon. And the reason why I say that, again, I have not seen the imagery of her, so I cannot tell you for a fact, but my people just don't call the police like that for no random reason. Annie Moore said the police should have arrested her for wasting her time. Big Rod said he ain't never had the police called on him. And I want y'all to think about this. To my Caucasian comrades, my Anglo-Saxon homies, if you will, I just want y'all to stop always thinking that the first thing gonna happen is you call the police. First of all, why y'all so quick to call the police anyway? Is it that you all are certain, based on historical data, that when you pick the phone up and call them on anybody that might not look like you, that you're going to get some results? And if so, let me ask my fellow law enforcement officers whom I respect so much because they do a difficult job. I just want to ask y'all, why do you all believe that many of our Caucasian comrades are so certain that you all will take their side that they comfortable calling you? Because Negroes ain't calling law enforcement for nothing foolish. Because we know they can come because of the call we made, and we wind up either in jail and or in a less than favorable position, if you will. It's possible. So we don't spend too much time. You're not going to find too many of us just sitting around talking about, man, I don't like the barbecue, so I'm going to get the police. No, that ain't what we do. Let me see what Big Rod said. Big Rod said they have to get their way. Absolutely. Yeah, it could go left. So when I read this and I looked it up, it while it was clearly funny to me, Robin Williams, glad to see you. It was also sad. It was also sad that we operate in a time where we as people can't get along enough. Well, if it ain't the arch nemesis, Nikki Carter. Glad to see you up here, Nikki Carter. It's sad that we operate in a time frame whereby you can't do the basic fundamental things like go and have a restaurant or go eat at a restaurant without it being some type of drama behind everything. And I do have to admit that some Karens out here, not all, be lying and be right on camera lying. That ain't, hey, shouldn't it be that if you make a false allegation, in this case, she said they weren't willing to give me my money back or change out or give me something different. And they said, I got her right on camera. If she called and you got her on camera doing that, legal beagle, shouldn't there be some type of legal recourse, or is it that the police just didn't want to do the paperwork on the situation? Because obviously it wasn't that they didn't press charges because the barbecue restaurant didn't want any bad publicity, because they've been all over the internet with this one. So I just am curious as to if you call the police and you lie to the police and they come out, legal beagle, shouldn't there be some recourse to that could be taken just for utilizing the resources to go out there on a known lie? I'm just saying. Anyway, let's leave the little barbecue lady, the barbecue assassin alone. And let's go to something different. Let me see. All right, here's something we can handle pretty quickly. Sinclair, how do you feel about the fact the lotto was delayed, then not drawn on TV? They said there was no winner. Then they claimed there was a winner in California. Does this sound fishy? Well. Now, the answer to that question, quite honestly, is this. Yes, it sounds fishy. It absolutely sounds fishy, people. Think about it. Matter of fact, let me ask y'all a question. Esther Shepherd, glad to see you. Let me ask y'all a question. How many of you all played the lotto on this last cycle? Because it was, at that time, I think it was like 1.9 billion with a B. How many of y'all played the lotto? Y'all could be honest. Some of y'all just be lying for no reason. Just straight up lying. Let me see, do we got any honest people out here? Yvonne Rouse, glad to see you on this evening. So the question was, did I find it somewhat peculiar or fishy is the term that they use, that the lotto, for the first time that I can remember, was not drawn on time. And then after it wasn't drawn on time, Cassandra said, I played on Friday. After that, I gave up. I don't even blame you. Big Rod said, yeah, he done played. Now think about it. I don't know lotto, but like of you all, when it gets to a certain number, I dabble a little bit from time to time. I might put a few coins in there. And for some of you all that say, well, how could you rock with Jesus and play the lotto? Look, because I don't rob Jesus. I give my tithes. I put my money in church. So stop asking stupid questions. But I've never known the lotto to be delayed, then the numbers to not be pulled on TV, then for them to come out with some numbers, then for them to say it wasn't a winner, then to say it was a winner in California. All of that is a bit much for me to bear. So for the individual who wrote that question, yeah, I did find it a little bit peculiar. James said he never, ever heard of that excuse. James, what was the excuse that they gave? Or anybody, somebody tell me what was the excuse that the lotto gave for the process going awry the way it did? But I'm saying to you, y'all think about it. It was $2 billion on the line. And first they said they had to delay the drawing. The next morning, they still had not drawn yet. I go to work early, so they hadn't drawn by the time I went to work. Then they said there was no winner. Then they came back and said it was one winner in California. Now, for me, there are some problems with that. I just got to say, I just got problems with it. You know. But however it goes down, we back to square one. So I guess until it get back to $1 billion, hold on, let me see what James said. James said they told the public, they told you, the lotto aficionados, if you will, that they had a computer glitch for the draw setup in the Midwest. Legal Beagle, can you tell me what does that even mean? Said they stated one of the states hadn't turned in their numbers due to still counting because of increased sales. Hold on. Whoa. April done hit us with something new. She said they stated one of the states hadn't turned in their numbers due to still counting because of April. That ain't election ballots. Lotto tickets are processed on the computer. What are we talking about? They were still counting. Counting what? Because I said, it said due to technical issues because a participating lottery had an issue processing sales. I'm baffled. Hold on. Because I said April is correct. Well, let's go back to this fabrication that April is talking about. They stated one of the state hadn't turned in their numbers due to still counting because of increased sales. Counting what? What could they have possibly been counting? These ain't mail-in ballots. I'm not rocking with that. And it took, okay, hold on. Cassandra done dropped to something. Powerball requires all 48 participating lotteries to submit their sales and play data prior to the winning numbers being selected. Once Powerball receives the outstanding submission, the drawing can proceed. The lottery said in a statement to the Associated Press. Let me tell y'all what that sounds like to me. And this is just a hypothetical. It is not true by any means. But for those people who believe in the Illuminati, if you will. Now, again, for the record, this is a fictional thing that I'm about to say, meaning I have no proof of it. It is not real. All right. But for those people who believe in the Illuminati and in this secretive place, organization, if you will, I bet those people that believe in the Illuminati are saying right now, no, what they did, because it was $2 billion that they held up the lotto, secretly drew a set of numbers, and then assigned it to this little place in California, and that the winner, we're gonna hear the name, but we ain't gonna never know who it is, so that a secret society could get the $2 billion. Because I said, y'all stop getting mad because y'all ain't win. Hey, I ain't lose but like $2. I ain't mad about it. I'm mad about the process because I've never known that process to take place. And to be honest with you, when you start using phrases like they were still counting, and we talking about lottos, electronic lottos, I ain't with that. And so again, that fictional theory that I just put out there, I can imagine that some of you conspiracy theorists are saying to yourselves, this was the Illuminati's way of getting $2 billion in their pockets by cooking the books on the lotto right in front of our eyes. Probably not true. But I'm telling you, I can see how some of the people might believe that, because it's simple stuff like this that just makes you say it don't make no sense. James said, I believe they held up to get it to $2 billion. It was set at 1.9 before the draw. But James, I'm gonna tell you the reason why I ain't buying that. Whether it was 1.9 or 2 billion was irrelevant based on how large it was. And matter of fact, let's talk about this, people. Ain't the government getting too much of that money? They got the reported individual who will be claiming that at some point is going to get $997 million if they take the lump sum. That means the government got a little over $1 billion in taxes. Come on, people. Now listen, now that got to be a good racket. How the government just came up on $1 billion in taxes. They tripping. I'm just saying. Now, if you the person that got 997 million, you ain't complaining. But once you start spending your money and you sit back and think about it, you're gonna be like, man, they took more than $1 billion from me. In fact, it was like 2.4 billion. And when they said you get 997 million, that means they got them taxes. Not the government of the state of California. California is a state government. Plus, they'll have to file it as income and pay more taxes. I don't know if that's how it goes. Is that how it goes? Legal Beagle, after you pay taxes on it the first time, do you have to pay taxes on the money you already paid taxes? Somebody let me know. I don't know enough about the lotto because I don't play it like that. But I don't think once they collect their money in those taxes like that, I don't know that you wind up having to pay taxes again. I could be wrong. Somebody let me know. James said, that's it. That's it, meaning April is right. Yes, you pay taxes on income every year. No, the question that I'm asking to Cassandra, I'm asking, once the lotto takes taxes out before it's ever provided to the person, do they have to pay more taxes that year after they already paid the taxes? I just need to know. Well, I ain't getting no money from it no way, so it don't even matter. Let me go to the next topic. Y'all ponder over that. Okay, here go one right here we can add. This is a little bit more sensitive to y'all, if you will. Cassandra said yes, because now it's income. What was it before? James said a lump sum is it unless you get annuities. Okay, James said no, you don't have to pay additional taxes once they take that lump sum out, unless you turn it into annuities where it generates new revenue. He said once you pay that lump sum and taxes out, that's all you have to pay on that money. Rod said yes, because it's added income. Ty said, isn't the tax bracket for that amount over 40%? Yeah, I don't care nothing about that. I just want to know if you would be taxed some more. James said that the lump sum in taxes that they take out initially is it, unless you get annuities and your money begins to generate additional money. Then you would pay taxes on whatever that additional balance is each year. Is that correct, James? One of y'all can validate it, but James seemed like he know what he's talking about on that. He seemed like he might be a lotto aficionado. All right, let's talk about this right here. Said, dear Sinclair, I recently found weed in my 13-year-old son's pants pocket. When I went to my husband about it, he was livid and wanted to immediately punish him. I also called my son's biological father, who thought it was much about nothing and did not want our son to be punished. Now I'm caught in the middle because my husband is upset that I even involved my son's biological dad. And if I punish him, I will have issues there as well. How should I handle this? Oh, what tangled webs when we practice to deceive. Okay, Cassandra said lotto winnings are considered ordinary taxable income for both federal and state tax purposes. That means your winnings are taxed the same as your wages and salaries, and you must report the entire amount you received each year on your tax return. James said no, unless you get the annuities rather than the lump sum. Okay, so James has actually said it correctly, and Cassandra just validated that, which is lotto winnings are considered ordinary taxable income, meaning the first year when you are initially getting that $2 billion, once they take out the 1 point some billion, that is the taxes you pay on that money at that point in lump sum. Now, if you were to take the annuity payments over a 20-year period, then you would be taxed each year on the amount that you receive each year. I think I said that right. If I did, somebody let me know. And if I didn't, y'all correct me, because I want the people to understand, not that any of you all are winning big payouts like that, but I definitely want you guys to have the right data. Let's get back on this. So the lady says she's doing laundry. She finds weed in her 13-year-old son's pocket. She tells her husband he wants to punish him. She then calls the biological father, who thinks weed is much to do about nothing. And he said, don't nobody need to be punishing my son because he had some weed. She's caught in the middle because now she says, if I don't punish him, my husband mad. And if I do punish him, the son's biological father, my ex, is going to be upset. I'm caught in the middle. How y'all know? First of all, let me see what April said. April said, your husband sets the rules of his home. If the child lives under his roof, he should receive the punishment set forth by your husband. The end. No discussion needed. Well, I agree with that, April. Because I'm trying to understand, how do you get yourselves caught up in this situation anyway? If you're washing clothes and you find weed in your son's pocket and you tell your husband about it, and he says, nah, messing with this weed thing, he got to get some kind of punishment. Ty said, do what hubby says. Absolutely. But you decide you're going to call the biological father because you want to get a biological father some input, some say-so, if you will. And the biological father is pro-weed. Let him smoke it. It's all good. Now you feel conflicted. Why are you conflicted? You conflicted because you allowing your ex to run your household. And there's so many of you all that do that. You Your son got weed in his pocket. Matter of fact, and I'm gonna tell you what's crazy. Big Rod said, I agree with April. His house, his rules. Absolutely. But let me tell y'all what's even more telling about this. She never says what her personal opinion is. James said, tell the biological father after the fact. Okay. Cassandra said, not correct. James, you pay taxes every year after the initial winning. It is now ordinary income, which is why you should have someone to assist you to invest and get all the tax breaks you can. The IRS considers net lottery winnings ordinary. All right, Cassandra, but I think what James was talking about on that before we flip back to the subject is it is no longer income, earned income, because you've already paid taxes on it. So if I paid taxes on it the first time and I put it, if I put it in the bank, obviously I'm going to get at some level of an interest rate. So yeah, I would pay on the interest rate. But if I took that 1 point some billion and put it in a big concrete room, I would no longer owe the IRS anymore because I've already paid them. And I think is what James is saying. But let's get back to this. Ty said, I don't understand the purpose of calling the biological father. That's the beginning point. You found weed in the pocket. You told your husband, what you call the biological father for? Somebody might can answer that. April said the call to the bio dad would be a courtesy call. Hey, this is what happened and this is what we did. Just letting you know, FYI. Okay, I'm not anti-notification. But if you're going to go and Jane said, that's the setup. All right. Cassandra said, that is not correct. I'll send you the info. Okay, cool. We're going to post it up for you lotto winners. So think about this now. She's saying she got turmoil in her home because her son had weed. And when she told her husband, then the husband said, he has weed. There must be a consequence for it. We're going to give him some punishment. She calls the biological father, who is not the primary care, is not the custodial parent. He says, oh, man, it's just weed. Don't worry about it. Y'all don't need to be putting them on no punishment. So she gets off the phone with the biological. Now she's conflicted on which of these two should be the follow-through method because she doesn't want to upset her husband and she don't want to upset her kid's dad. That's the reason why you got a problem right there. You got a problem because you married to this one, but you still letting this one tell you what to do. Probably because you still got feelings for him. Because other than that, I see no reason for you to say you conflicted. You know who would be conflicted? The biological. He would be conflicted as to whether or not he gonna come with the U-Haul and pick his son up. Because if you can't follow the rules, then why you at my house? And if you didn't want your husband to be able to come up with solutions for his stepson, then you shouldn't have never married him because the problem was the whole time he was never going to get a fair opportunity. That's as clear. That's as short as grits' groceries. Think about that whole conversation. She feeling some kind of way because she don't want to let nobody down. And for all of you out there who straddled the fences for years and years and years, that's your problem. Now, your ex-boyfriend, baby daddy, husband, whatever he used to be, is sitting in another address somewhere else running your house, and you sitting around here mad, toe up in the face, and all these other things, and you suspect that your current husband supposed to put up with you, your attitude, your ex's attitude, the son's attitude. He's supposed to put up with all this because you in your feelings, you can't let go and move forward. So I tell you what, here's what I'm gonna say to you. The moment that you decided you didn't want to put him on punishment was the moment, in all actuality, you should have walked in back down to your room, And as you and your husband watch TV or whatever, however y'all get down, you should have gave that person his paperwork. Because can't be but one king of a castle. And the moment, hold on for a second, let me see what April said. The beginning of messing up her home and marriage. Absolutely, probably so. And ladies, I'm saying this to you all because you all are generally the ones that fall into these categories. You need to be cognizant of what you want in your life, because some of y'all don't want. Some of y'all like the comfort of being married, but you don't want to live by the marital code. You still out here freelancing. And for you biological fathers, let me say this to you. If someone is doing their best to be a provider and a protector for a child that you're not the custodial parent of, if you're not getting calls that this person is negatively putting their hands on your child or doing something negative to them, I don't care how much you go back and forth with the fluff and the emotions as you trying to holler back at your ex, all that's irrelevant. If you got somebody doing the job that you ain't there doing, and you're not getting any signs or symptoms that this person is doing anything negative to your child, instead of all that BS that you giving and trying to be counterproductive to the house rules that she is allowing you to rule, you probably ought to pick the phone up and call that dude and say thank you. Because it's easy to make these long distance decisions when you don't have to be there to deal with any of the consequences. It's easy to make long distance decisions when you got somebody that is not loyal enough to her husband to say, this our house, we make these rules. And again, she never said what her opinion was at all. The conflict, we don't even know that she had a conflict with the punishment or not. Her conflict is, I don't want to make my baby daddy mad, and I don't want to make my husband mad. So what do? You don't write me no letter and ask me that question, because I'm going to tell you, you the problem. I can't knock your baby daddy for having a say so that you give him. I certainly can't knock your husband for being mad, because he's sitting around here looking in your face while you looking in somebody else's face, concerned about how they feel. Look, people, I'm getting up out of here. It's about that time, baby. Oh, yeah. Here we go.
The Sinclair Show is on.
It is on.
Run it if your friends come on.
Come on.